Welcome to YLG TV. I am Russell Morsier and I'm here with Councilman Mitch O'Farrell. YLG TV is a production of the Urban Land Institute Young Leaders Group, and we're here to give some one-on-one insight and advice to our members. YLG is a group of up-and-coming real estate professionals at all different levels in their career who seek to learn from leaders who have achieved great success in our city. Today we're here with Councilman Mitch O'Farrell, Councilman for District 13 in the City of Los Angeles, a diverse district which covers areas as vast as Hollywood to Koreatown to Silver Lake. Councilman O'Farrell took the helm of CD 13 in July 2013 after a number of years in public service, working for current mayor and former CD 13 Councilman Eric Garcetti. He's intimately familiar with his district. He's one of the most influential people in Los Angeles, helping shape policy which will guide the future development of the city. Councilman O'Farrell, thank you for being with us today.
Thanks, Russell. It's good to be here.
So let's get to it. You're in charge of one of the largest, most diverse districts in the city of Los Angeles. Early in your life, did you ever envision yourself on a city council, let alone the City of Los Angeles City Council, governing the second largest city in the nation?
Not once, ever. Seriously, before the age of 40, the thought of being in politics or in public service in a professional capacity literally never entered my mind. So here I am many years later as an elected official in the City of Los Angeles, and I say this a lot, but I'm really over the moon about it. It's a very exciting position to be in.
Absolutely. And along those same lines, why did you choose the public sector instead of a private sector? Was there some issue or event which sort of triggered your involvement in your city and community?
It evolved very organically. Wherever I've lived in my adult life, I've always been somewhat involved with my immediate surroundings. Literally, if it was an apartment building I lived in, or a duplex, or when I moved to Glassell Park many, many years ago now, I'm a natural organizer. I would get to know my neighbors and start talking to my neighbors about improvements that I thought we all might enjoy. So it started with that, and I became very active in my community of Glassell Park and ended up becoming the president of the Improvement Association there. I was one of the founders of my neighborhood council in Glassell Park, was one of the founders of the Chamber of Commerce over there. So I did things like organizational things, but I also did improvement projects. I planted trees in my neighborhood. I did cleanups. So I've always been active in that sense. That led to a job as a deputy for then Councilmember Eric Garcetti in his first term, early in his first term, which I was on the staff of for nearly 10 years, which launched me into this position.
Interesting. Let's get down to the issues. Do you see any, part of your district in need of an urban planning intervention? And by contrast, do you see any areas, again, in your district poised for a planning comeback or a renaissance over here?
We have really large areas, large sections of the 13th district that need the kind of economic renaissance, economic growth and development that we're seeing in other parts of the district, like Hollywood or Echo Park or Atwater Village or Silver Lake. And those are the areas of East Hollywood, and you can go south and easterly of there, the Temple Beaudry area, the Westlake district, the historic Filipino town area, and reaching into Koreatown. So I've proposed a community plan implementation overlay zone, and we're going to fund a study so that we can raise the standards for all future development in those areas. And that's specific to the southeasterly quarter of my district, which has been historically overlooked, quite frankly. So that's a big focus of mine. And what we will do is we'll explore ways to up the ante in terms of design standards. The reason I'm doing this now is there are several projects that are proposed, a handful that have been approved, with very little guidance because they're by right projects. Growth is coming to the district. Growth is happening in the city. I want to make sure that my constituents, the stakeholders who live in these communities, have greater say in what comes to their neighborhoods, and that we can provide a framework wherein we get quality projects that make the neighborhood look better, feel better, that are designed with higher standards in mind. And that's what I'm after with this.
Fantastic, amazing. Much of your district, the LA River runs through much of your district and has become an important focus of your policy. In your eyes, what does the future of the LA River hold, and can it become a permanent recreational river? Will it ever be like the Seine or the Chicago River, even the James River in Richmond, Virginia?
I say, why not? Glassell Park is a river community, and the river runs through a large part of my district, as you just said, Atwater Village, Elysian Valley, Glassell Park, and it encompasses the better part of most of the council districts in the city. It's a major, major opportunity just waiting to be rediscovered, and maybe it's already been sort of rediscovered now by more and more people, but it has enormous potential for an economic engine of growth well into the future, both passive and active recreation, and economic development along its banks. And we're already seeing that in some pockets. So we have to approach the redevelopment of the river with an environmental lens as well as a growth and economic development lens, and that's exactly what we're doing.
Absolutely. And you'd mentioned earlier areas of East Hollywood and Koreatown and Hollywood. They were recently designated as federal promise zones and will receive federal funding to help improve education and housing and public safety in those areas. How do you foresee these funds improving your district, and do you have any direct control over how those funds are allocated?
I have more indirect control than direct control, but the promise zone designation is exactly what we make of it. There are several reasons why this area was designated a promise zone. It's because the poverty rate is around 35% in most of these neighborhoods, and even higher in some cases. But the reason that we received the designation is because we have the infrastructure to support it. And by that I mean the nonprofits who have been active in the area for decades in most cases. Youth Policy Institute being chief among them. They've already handled promised neighborhood designations. We have the partnerships in place with other nonprofits in the area and the LAUSD as well. So it's what we make of it. We're not going to get a check from the federal government, but what the Promise Zone does is it gives us the priority in applying for the federal grants that will be made available, up to $500 million in federal grants over the next 10 years from agencies such as Housing and Urban Development. So I'm looking very forward to partnering with these nonprofits that are in place and supporting every step of the way. I'm going to be very directly involved in this.
Fantastic. You have reached one of the highest levels of governance in this city. What advice do you have for a young policy maker or politician in the making who wants to improve his city or get a job working for a council office in the city of LA or Southern California in general?
My first piece of advice is make sure that you care deeply. Anyone who cares deeply about their community, their neighborhood, their city, and has the smarts and the strategic thinking that comes somewhat naturally can do what I'm doing. And whether it's in a position where you're elected into office like I currently am, or whether it's as a volunteer, or whether you're running a nonprofit, or whether you're on the staff of an elected official, people need to realize that if they care about their immediate surroundings, they have immense power. Just the power of what one person can do to get things done to better his or her community is enormous. So I would say care deeply, be as selfless in your approach to what you do as you possibly can, and the universe will respond. It really will. Your neighborhoods will respond, people will respond, and if you live an inspired life and you proceed in an inspired way, you will inspire others. And it feels really great to make a difference. And I think that's what people want at the end of the day, to know that they're making a difference in this world, in their neighborhood.
Definitely. Councilman O'Farrell, thank you for your advice. Thank you for being with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.